Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm going to walk around a little bit, if that's okay. Today, I want to take you on a journey to imagine a future where deforestation doesn't exist, where biodiversity can thrive, and where we just might be able to make food without land. What's enabling this future? Biotechnology. And what's most exciting, and what I want to talk to you about tonight, is this is already happening. Who here's heard about palm oil? Good number of hands. Give me a guess. About what % of products on supermarket shelves do you think have palm oil? High numbers, good. A well-informed audience. 50%. Palm oil is an ingredient which is found in 50% of products on supermarket shelves. In everything from lipstick to laundry detergent, from potato chips to cookies. It is a $70 billion industry. And in many ways, palm oil is an inspiring crop. It has a unique profile which enables shelf stability, but also critical performance elements. Palm oil is the reason why chocolate candy melts in your mouth and not in your hands. And palm oil is the reason that when you buy Nutella or peanut butter, you've got a smooth, spreadable, perfect emulsion rather than that layer of oil on the top of it. But palm oil has a huge problem. It's burning the planet, quite literally. While the tree is very productive, its growth is limited to a narrow band around the equator of about 5 to 10 degrees. This land around the equator, of course, is home to some of the most precious lands on Earth, our primary forest. They're biodiverse hotspots and carbon sinks. To meet growing demand for palm oil over the past few decades, growers have engaged in massive slash and burn tactics, clearing rainforest and converting them to industrial oil palm plantations. And the result, as you can see, has been massive. Palm oil production alone emits about 2% of annual greenhouse gas emissions, which is more than the entire global aviation sector. And palm oil's problems with regards to climate don't just stop at greenhouse gas emissions. It's a mess for biodiversity, clearing the land of all of the animal species that call this land home. And of course, it pollutes our air and water streams as well. That's how I first learned about palm oil. This selfie is from a business trip. And while we're fresh out of 4 years of COVID, you might think this picture was recent. But it's actually from 10 years ago. And it's not to protect me from COVID, it's to protect me from air quality. 10 years ago, in 2013, I was in Singapore on a business trip, and my company insisted I wear an N95 mask. The air quality index while I was in Singapore was well over 400, and anything over 300 is highly toxic. The government had shut down schools and told pregnant women not to leave the house. All of this I learned was the result of deforestation and forest fires from the palm oil industry in nearby Sumatra. A few years later in grad school, I met my co-founders, David Heller and Harry McNamara. They too had witnessed firsthand the destruction caused by palm oil production. And so we got curious. As we dug into palm oil, we of course learned about its ubiquity. But more than that, we learned that everybody knew it was a problem. Hundreds of the world's largest consumer goods manufacturers had made commitments to stop using what we call conflict palm oil, but they had nearly all failed because there was no viable alternative. The three of us were all working in biology at the time from different angles, and actually we became friends first, really inspired by what we saw as biology's power to solve some of the world's hardest problems. We'd seen biology get to work in solving global disease, as many of us had worked in global health previously. But what about climate change? So we asked a simple question. What would it take to solve the palm oil problem? Could scientific innovation solve it? Specifically, could biological innovation solve it? And what would have to be true? We got to work with just $1,000 from MIT, and we pretty quickly found the answer to be yes. Biology is amazing, inspired by the ability of both the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom to make nutritious foods from sugar. We asked about the fungal kingdom. There are millions of microorganisms, yeast, algae, fungi, bacteria, all around us. And with rapid advances in genome sequencing over the past few years, we can now sequence their genomes and understand which traits and metabolic pathways are responsible for specific traits, like what makes fat. Over the past 5 years, we've developed a proprietary technology which produces a palm oil alternative from yeast, not trees. The impact of that is that we can provide the world's largest consumer products manufacturers with a high-performance oil that meets their needs without the unpredictable supply chain or climate change issues. What's most exciting is this isn't just technology. Thank you. What's most exciting is this isn't just technology in a lab. It is at scale today. These are 50,000-liter fermentation tanks, and each one of these is taller than the building that we're in today. This is what we're producing in today. But can you really scale fermentation globally? That's a question I get all the time. Luckily, we have the beer industry. Fermentation-produced beer is a multi-hundred-billion-dollar industry, and beer is produced everywhere in the world. This is what we want to do: produce fats and oils, but also proteins and carbohydrates. In a sense, to make food without land. So my company, C16 Biosciences, we launched commercially last year. And to launch our technology to the world, we introduced the Palmless platform for sustainable ingredients. We introduced our ingredient platform by launching a product, and we called it Save the Fucking Rainforest. Even my mother, who doesn't condone cursing, loved the name. We gave it a bold name to make our mission very clear and to grab the attention of the biggest consumer goods manufacturers who needed our solution the most. And it worked. The product sold out in 2 hours. We had over 1 billion media impressions, which are eyeballs that any CPG would kill for. And we had inbounds from hundreds of the world's largest consumer goods manufacturers. As an entrepreneur, this tells me that people want this. Consumers want this because they want the products they love without harming the planet, without deforesting rainforest. And consumer goods manufacturers want it because their customers want it. Most importantly, it's not just consumers that want this. Regulators, too, have woken up to the importance of cleaning up our supply chains. While in the US, the IRA has gathered most of the attention over the past year or so, our colleagues in Europe have been very busy as well. In addition to the EU sustainable due diligence requirements, they recently passed the EU deforestation regulation, which is now mandating that big companies clean up their supply chains with regard to sourcing 7 key crops, including palm oil. The way that companies have sort of validated sustainable palm oil in the past, which is certification, just full of holes, no longer passes muster, and fermentation-based solutions are an incredible opportunity. Now, this is about biotechnology, and while biotechnology is an incredible enabler to push forward innovation in this sector, what I believe is the most beautiful part about all of this is the role of nature herself. Our oil, our yeast, naturally produces oil. Mother Nature did so much of this work for us, and by combining the latest and greatest tools of biotechnology with the beauty of nature's work, we're able to scale it and produce it more efficiently and more cheaply. In many ways, this isn't about fake versus natural, synthetic versus natural. In many ways, our oil is more natural than agricultural palm oil produced from industrial palm plantations today. This is the future that we're building, where we can reimagine nature, we can reimagine the future of our planet, where we can rewild and restore natural forest, where biodiversity can thrive, and where we just might be able to produce food without land. Thank you.